Right. Anyone's guess what I want to talk about now? This is the last thing. AI. Now, this is a point where I just kind of want to flip a little bit and ask you guys, is anyone using AI in any way in life, in their productions? Yes, go.
I use it to write lyrics.
Okay, perfect. So when, I'm going to assume here, you're not using them wholesale, you'll sort of generate some, or maybe you are, but you generate the lyrics, they appear. Do you then take them out and amend them slightly and just word them differently? Or have you just been going, yeah, that'll do?
They're kind of really bad.
They're bad, yeah.
But sometimes there'll be like a nice rhyme in there.
Yeah.
I can use that.
Nice,
And then
yeah.
throw away everything else.
Cool, yeah, nice. All right, okay. So anything else? Just lyrics at the minute?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the reason I ask is the demise of the music industry. It's a bit heavy, that. I'm currently working on just finishing up a brief for BMG / Paramount. They've got a joint venture. So they sent me a brief. Can you produce 5 vocal synth pop tracks? So anytime I get a brief which has vocal in the in the title, I shit myself. I hate it. Vocals can be an absolute nightmare because, in my experience, it's hard enough to find a vocalist. It's hard enough to find a good vocalist who can record. Then it's hard to find a good vocalist who can record and kind of have the experience to know how to do their own harmonies and ad-libs and that kind of thing to really flesh out a vocal. And then it's hard to find a vocalist who is affordable, even on things like Fiverr and Sound Better. If you've used those, I'm not sure. They tend to split their services into kind of 3 levels. There's the top line, as it's called, which is the melody. You know, they'll create the melody for you. They'll sing the song. The lyrics, you know, they'll charge for lyrics, and then the actual vocal performance. So to find a sort of really decent vocalist on those kind of forums, generally, they might charge something around £200 for each of those, you know, if not significantly more. 200 quid for the top line, 200 quid for the lyrics, 200 quid to do the vocal recording. So all of a sudden, I'm £600 in the hole getting a vocal recording done, which might not even be accepted by the label. So it can be a massive, massive hassle. And sometimes I've had to do deals whereby I don't pay them up front and I offer them a royalty split. So can you do the vocal? I'll give you 30, 40%, 50. All right. You know, it can be tricky. So with AI emerging, I thought I'd do a super risky experiment and try to use AI vocals in these tracks. So first of all, how? Obviously, I've got to write the track. I'm not going to use AI to actually do the track. That would be insane. I also think the technology is not there. It sounds crap. So I do the backing track, right? Which I'll just play for you here. This is not the original Logic project. This is kind of bodged together just for this. Okay. So pretty cool, like synth pop track. I mean, you won't remember the 80s. Throw some guitar in there. Straight out of Pretty Woman, that. Right. So, what do I need to get a vocal in here? So I need some lyrics. So sure enough, is it ChatGPT you've used for same thing? Yeah. So it's super simple and super scary. You know, it's write some synth pop lyrics. Go. You know, and it churns out a partially insufferable list of lyrics, but like you say, there's some good ideas in there that you can use. So for this particular stop, Jesus. He's self-aware. There we go. You know, there's some good ideas there. It's a bit cheesy. You know, I like pulse in the air. I like electric whispers, maybe riding waves, pixelated emotions, a bit on the nose. But I think what I did, I took 2 or 3 generations and then put them into a notepad and just started singing them myself over the top of the track. Because inevitably, when you start singing, you know, the rhythm of what you're singing changes. The words might not work. So I did that for 3 or 4 generations of that. And let me go back to pack it in. Yeah, so the melody was the next thing. So I've got the lyrics, I've got a vague idea of what I want the lyrics to be, and I'm going to do the melody. So again, it's my job. I'm going to make that up myself. I'm going to sing along with the track for a bit, try and get some ideas together, see what works. And this is what I came up with. Now, I'm super exposed now, because this is going to be my dreadful original vocal performance. So I apologise in advance, it truly is awful. But here it is.
Beneath the neon city lights, we start to sway.
Bad.
In this electric world where dreams come out to play.
Oh. Okay, awful, right? So how can I use AI here? So I discovered a tool called Musicify. But I think what's actually happening is there's thousands of tech bros at the minute just creating all these plugins and websites to do this job. So this is just one that I happened to find that kind of had a good interface. How do I get back to this now? Get rid of that. That had a good interface. It was cheap in that it was, I think, £10 or something like that a month, and you're not tied into a year or anything like that. So all I did was simply export that vocal, threw it into there, selected an artist, and they come out with these names. Tina, you know, fine. Leela, sounds suspiciously exactly the same. Okay, let's have a listen to Jeremiah. Okay, at this point I'm still skeptical as to how this is going to work. I won't do this in real time, but basically I dragged in my audio, I chose Nina, let's say, hit master for the quality, and I press remix, and in about 30 seconds it churned this out.
Beneath the neon city lights, we start to sway.
Get rid of the reverb.
In this electric world where dreams come out to play.
So at that point, I was like, holy shit, that's actually pretty passable. You can hear the artifacts. It's not a perfect vocal recording by any stretch. But the nature of this track, which is kind of a little bit lo-fi and a little bit 80s, it kind of really worked. So at that point, I was blown away and I was in. So I did another voice generation and laid it up just for a bit of beef.
City lights.
You know, this is super dodgy, super rough, but once I'd added in all the reverb and everything and produced it up a bit, this is not what it now sounds like.
Beneath the neon city lights, we start to sway.
Bit OTT reverb going on somewhere.
In this electric world where dreams come out to play. With starry eyes and hearts set free, we find the key to a timeless groove. You and me, just come and see. This is not the way that I want it to be. This is not the way that I want it to be. Not the way that I want it to be.
Not the way that I want it to be. This.
So that was it. My mind was absolutely blown. I was like, that is fucking incredible and an absolute game changer for me. If I can now do a full vocal track with minimal effort, as long as I'm able to sing a sort of bass melody that the AI can pick up on. I was shocked, frankly. It blew me away. Also, to prove I'm not a complete ghoul, I did pay for a saxophonist to play over this. And he killed it. That's some real guitar as well.
This is not the way that I want
boom. I'm like, that is it's pretty much one of the best tracks I've done so far, and thanks to AI. So essentially, it's insight into my naming conventions there. Yeah, what's happened there is I've won, right? I can mock up a pretty good vocal with mixed results, but that one came out pretty good. Great for me, it's a game changer. I can, at the very least, knock up superb sounding demos. But who's the loser? And it's the vocalist. They haven't got a job there. I've taken their work. And I don't really know what the answer is at this point. I would always prefer to use a real vocalist, of course I would. But the cost, particularly for me and how I work, and the kind of lack of control is always a problem. I don't know what the answer is. Maybe the vocalists need to charge less. You know, if they only charged £200 instead of 600, maybe I would have gone for it. So it's a bit of an unknown future at the minute. I don't have the answers. All I know is, at the minute, AI is an amazing tool that we can all use in some respects, and hopefully AI doesn't get to the point where you can say, do me a pulsing tension track, and it's good enough, better than library music. That's the worry. So far, it's not the case. I was asked when I did a lecture a year ago by some students here, am I worried about AI? My answer then was not really. From what I hear, the quality's just not there. So in the past year, the quality's improved, but not at this kind of exponential rate that I was worrying about. So I'm worried about it maybe in a few years, but for now it's a great tool. So yeah, that's basically the end. If anyone's got any final questions.
How accurate do you have to be with actually hitting the notes for that AI singer to be able to detect it?
That's a great question. Yeah. So what I noticed is it's pretty clever. The more emphasis you do in your performance, the more you'll get back out of it. So if you're quite flat, beneath the neon, you'll get that back. But if you kind of put your back into it a little bit and give it some wallop, it figures out that that's the way to do it. And in terms of pitch, I think actually my original vocal, let's have a look. Yeah, I did some bits. I didn't want it too robotic, but I definitely, let's have a look. Yeah, look, pitch correction's up at 100. So I nudged it to make sure that performance. So I think my thought process was if my original vocal sounds robotic, that's okay because the AI vocal will get rid of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I did pitch it, yeah.